Hey YouTube, just a couple of things for tonight. I've got something in the works. It's going to be a commentary on a couple of Side Tinbergen Kate's videos, sort of a lecture that he gives. We're talking about over 2 hours worth of material. And, you know, I really thought I was finished with the presuppositional apologetics based on the videos I've done to date. But after a flurry of a little bit on my personal or private messages, I was prompted to look back over some videos I hadn't watched for quite a while, and I realized there's a lot of material there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that sort of integral math style. So I'm going to play a little bit of the audio and then I'll comment. I don't have a lot of time for video editing, so I'm going to need to do it that way. I think it'll be interesting, hopefully. You can't, I watched the video again last night, and you cannot watch the video for more than a few seconds without a face palm or an eye roll or commenting. So I'll look for that series coming shortly, and it'll be, of course, a series. I'll have to do little videos, pieces here and there over the next few weeks. Tonight, though, I wanted to discuss something that some of you may or may not have seen, and also give a shout out, even this early in my YouTube career, because it all ties in together. So, some of you may have noticed on my channel an earlier video that I made, one of my first videos, with star trails. It's a little demo that I did with a camera mounted on a rotating axis and a couple of LED lights. And there's not really much explanation in there, but it has to do with geocentrism versus heliocentrism. So early on, when I started watching YouTube videos, I stumbled across a guy named channel named FernieBoy100, and he was discussing the fact that the Earth does not move. And he had a couple of really interesting demonstrations to show that helicopters flying off of Dodge Dakotas and that sort of thing. And I thought it was interesting because the last time I had heard about geocentrism was as it was used as an analogy for things that we didn't understand very well and couldn't understand the modeling, so we came up with all this complex math and complex theories for how things work. And then once we discovered how they actually worked, the proper model, we were able to do away with all this complex explanations, much the same way that heliocentrism left us to do away with things like epicycles and all these different complex maths and models that were required to make the geocentric model fit what we actually witness. Now, of course, some Christians are geocentrists and some are not. Some say, well, this is not meant to be taken literally, that the Earth does not move, and some, like FernieBoy100, say, no, the Earth does not move, and anyone who says it does move, rotate, spin, hurtle through space, any of that, is, I don't know, demon-possessed or whatever. And so, to the shout-out part of my video, I battled a little bit in comment sections and that sort of thing with FernieBoy, and then I discovered a channel called Cool Hard Logic. Now, for any of you who haven't seen, I definitely will link. I'll link FernieBoy too. I'll link to the Cool Hard Logic down below. His videos on geocentrism and heliocentrism are fantastic, and they're very, very well referenced. There's lots of factual data there. There's lots of math. There's lots of evidence given there for why geocentrism doesn't work. Very well laid out, very professional, and I would encourage anyone who's remotely interested in this to check it out. I find it interesting because I think it's funny to watch Christians battle Christians, you know, heliocentric Christians battling geocentric Christians. I think it's very funny, and of course, mostly it's not, you know, it's not the heliocentric Christians battling with, say, FernieBoy100. It would be atheists, but it is interesting to see when it happens between Christians, because of course, there's no shortage of Christians calling other Christians false Christians, etc., etc. Now, onto my video, one of the first videos I did with the star trails. I did that for FernieBoy100 because on one of, I think it was on one of Cool Hard Logic's videos, we got into a little bit of an argument, and he was saying, of course, the Earth doesn't spin, so the star trails that you can see in a time-lapse video are because the stars are all moving around, the universe is rotating around the Earth in a uniform fashion, and that explains why some of the star trails have short tails and some have longer tails, because the ones that have longer tails are further away from us. And I said, well, this would be the same thing if the Earth was spinning. And he said no, that wouldn't be the same. You could not get, he specifically said, you could not get shorter and longer star trails from a rotating Earth. And I said, well, you sure can. It just depends on how far away they are from the axis of the rotation of the Earth. And he said no, and I said, well, I can make a simple demonstration. I think what's interesting about that is not the illustration that I did, but the moving goalposts of Fernie Boy 100. You know, I think I've actually solved the perpetual motion, perpetual energy machine problem. If we could somehow harness the energy that's involved in the shifting goalposts of theists, we got the energy problem solved. So I made my little video. I put a camera on a moving axis to represent the Earth, and I put 2 LED lights across the room at different distances from the center, and I did a time-lapse video. One light trail short, one light trail much longer. It was a simple demonstration. It wasn't meant to be that scientific, but just to prove the point that spinning body, 2 fixed light sources, 2 different like star trails or light trails. And of course the shifting goalposts. Then of course in the comments section after I posted this for Fernie Boy to see, first he claimed not to see it, which I posted the link directly there several times. And then when he did see it, he said, I told you that's what you would find. I told you all along. And he made up some BS story to explain it. Now, he didn't tell me anything all along. He told me that the experiment would fail, that I would fail to produce 2 different star trails, light trails. At any rate, this is what I was alluding to a few videos prior, that I had some videos that I wanted to make on something. It was to be geocentrism and heliocentrism. And Fernie Boy 100 particularly. He's quite an interesting guy. Now, he's since moved most of his videos off of his channel onto Vimeo, because YouTube had come down on him for violations. The violations were because he made videos against homosexuality. He wasn't real nice about it, and YouTube decided not to allow those videos on there. So he's moved most of his videos to Vimeo because, of course, it's more of an artistic-based video platform, and they're not quite as censoring there. But I think there's still some things to be said and some things to be dealt with Fernie Boy. His video that I just see him put up now is 10 minutes and 47 seconds exposing cool hard logic. And I think if any of you are interested in watching, I would, and especially if you haven't seen Cool Hard Logic, I would recommend watching one of Cool Hard Logic's videos on geocentrism, and then watching this 10-minute and 47-second video if you can get through it, because it's hard. Cool Hard Logic's videos are packed with facts, visual demonstrations that make it easy to understand why the geocentric model is absolutely ridiculous and does not describe what we witness. Not to mention things like the Cassini-Huygens space missions and these sort of things that rely on complex models of an accurate accurate models of the solar system to slingshot off of the gravitational fields of different celestial bodies in this once in I don't know how many year alignment, that they took advantage of. I mean, there are people who actually, rubber meets the road, have to make this stuff work based on accurate models. And it's really interesting to see a theist, say, well, here's my model, but they don't have to, there's nothing, they don't have to do anything, right? They're not relying on this. They're certainly not putting their life on the line for these models. If you contrast the Cool Hard Logic videos with this video by Fernie Boy 100, I think you'll see a really interesting difference. The Fernie Boy 100 video is a lot of cartoonish music, carnival music, lots of shoveling. I shove people, there's images of people shoveling horse shit and shoveling other things, and there's just there's a lot of assertions about Cool Hard Logic lying and his logic being flawed, but there's no actual data there. There's no actual representation of an accurate model of a geocentric solar system or universe. And I think it's really interesting. It really illustrates the difference between science and superstition. I don't know what say happens after you die, and I don't know what the origin of the universe is myself, but I don't need to know to be able to dismiss things that are obviously false. And I'm a little bit tired of hearing people bash scientists. There was a person commenting on Fernie Boy 100's channel. If I can find that, I will append this video with that, because I think it really illustrates how dangerous and how scary it is that these theists, really bash science and bash scientists, because they do important work. And these clowns wouldn't have the luxury of having an internet and having these fantastic electronic devices to do their dastardly deeds if it weren't for these same scientists, let alone drive their car, go to work, do all these other things. So I still have in mind to do some Fernie Boy 100 videos and or geocentrism videos in the future. But for now, I'm going to stick with the presuppositional apologetic till I finished with the next couple of videos. This little series that I've got coming up, this commentary. So stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.